Direct News TV. March 18, 2024. Cubans stage rare protests amid persisting economic crisis. Rare protests have taken place in Cuba as the island nation's economic crisis persists. President Miguel Diaz-Canel called on Monday for calm, and hit out at the United States after hundreds of people gathered in Santiago the previous day to demonstrate against power blackouts and food shortages. Social media videos showed crowds in the communist-governed country's second-largest city chanting, "Power and food." A wave of blackouts has recently seen power supplies cut for up to 18 hours or more in a day. That has helped jeopardize food supplies and economic activity in the cash-strapped country. Long stymied by U.S. trade embargoes and more recently sanctions imposed during Donald Trump's presidency, Cuba is battling its worst economic crisis in decades, caused in part by the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw the flow of much-needed tourism dollars plunge. Diaz-Canel called for dialogue and peace. Several people have expressed their dissatisfaction with the situation of electrical service and food distribution, he wrote on X. The disposition of the authorities of the party, the state, and the government is to attend to the complaints of our people, listen, dialogue, explain the numerous efforts that are being carried out to improve the situation, always in an atmosphere of tranquility and peace, he added. The president blamed government enemies and mediocre politicians and terrorists in the U.S. for trying to hijack the protests. The U.S. Embassy in Havana said in a post on X that it had also received reports of protests in Bayamo, Granma and other locations. It urged the government to respect the human rights of the protesters and address the legitimate needs of the Cuban people. The protests in Santiago were peaceful as demonstrators shouted, "Down with communism! Down with Diaz-Canel!" Videos on social media showed no signs of scuffles or arrests as the protests were watched by a large number of state security forces. However, internet services were throttled late on Sunday until early Monday, according to some reports. Havana cracked down heavily on large protests in July 2021, the widest demonstration seen in Cuba since Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. The response was criticized by the international community. Since 1960, the U.S. has maintained an economic embargo on Cuba, which restricts trade between the countries. For the first time, Cuba turned to the UN's World Food Program in February, requesting help in supplying milk to children, the organization said. "My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it."